What up, peeps? It's Gabe
and Babe,
and we are coming to do our couch conversations finally.
How long ago was we supposed to do that?
It's been like a whole year since we said we were going to do that. Sorry. So we're going to start off with our story, because a lot of times we get people that watch our vlogs that haven't watched from the beginning. They just kind of come in and they're trying to, figure out about us. And we talked about our story on our husband tag. Is that the name of that video?
The
boyfriend
husband,
fiance
edition.
tag.
Yeah, whatever you call it.
So we talked about it then, but that video is so old that I figured we might as well come and update and have just a video catered to our story and proposal. How do we meet, babe?
All right.
Try to give the abridged version.
The abridged version here. All right. So
he will talk for days.
I was No, so I was in Afghanistan working as a contractor, and my nieces and nephews. So I have four nieces, four nieces total, and one nephew. But the two nieces and the nephew that live in Alabama now, they're the ones that said, "Hey, Uncle Chad, make a Facebook account." So I hate Facebook, and I'm just learning this whole Twitter thing.
He's so social media
impaired. So impaired, exactly. I need like a social media for dummies book. Yeah. So basically, I made the account so that they could show me pictures, and I could show them pictures whenever I got a chance to upload them. And so as you're setting up your account, it tells you to search for your high school classmates. So I saw all these classmates. I was like, oh, I know them. So a bunch of people I knew, and I saw Miss Gabrielle here. And first thing I said was just like, wow, she is beautiful. So I figured I would be creepy and stalkerish and send a message.
No.
What did I do first?
You didn't send a message first. What happened was...
What did I do first?
I have to tell my side of the story.
Okay.
He saw a picture of me. I was real cute. I had went to this ball or something. I had on this black, long, fitted dress. Mm-hmm. So he had... I don't even remember what he said. Something about looking good, or he complimented me on the picture. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, Chad Rader. So then I clicked on his profile and I saw that he went to my same high school and we graduated the same class. So I'm like, well, I must know him. I have to know him. And it may sound crazy, but our high school was huge. So it was very common to not know people in your graduation.
We never had a class together in 4 years of high school.
We never crossed paths at all. So, but I saw that he graduated at the same time I did, and I'm like, oh, I must know him, So I sent him a message and was like, thank you. How have you been? And then that's when he returned with the message that was like a long message.
That's right.
It was so cute.
Hitting on her.
And he was basically hitting on me, and I think you asked me if I was single.
I did. I asked her if she was single, and I hope, because I did. Well, I think I said something to the fact that I hope I'm not being, disrespectful or anything. If you have a boyfriend, I understand, but I just, if you are single, I just want to let you know that you're beautiful and love to talk to you more.
Yeah, that was it. And at the time, this was in 2009, July or August. I think it was July, actually, and I had just gotten out of a relationship with my ex. We had just broken up that May. So I was like, okay, let me respond back to this guy. It's not going to hurt. So I think, and then he had asked for my email address, or you had given me your email address.
Exactly.
So I sent him an email. I guess from July, we exchanged a couple emails, and then he was like, well, here's my IM, maybe we can instant message. And from then on, at that point, I was only working a part-time job, so I would have so much free time during the day. We would chat all day. We'd be back and forth, and I'm thinking he's got the time. It's not till later I found out he was supposed to be working.
Well, I was at work, but the thing is that, my shifts were from 11:30 at night to 11:30 in the morning. So a 12-hour shift, but it was 9 hours ahead there.
Yeah,
so when it's night there, it was daytime for her. So it worked out perfect to where calling her.
It did work out, because then he asked for my phone number. We did that for about, I don't know, maybe a month.
Yeah.
We IM'd for maybe a month.
So.
And then he finally asked for my number. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm going to give this guy my number. So I gave it to him, and he would call me all the time. I couldn't call him, obviously. He was in Afghanistan. But he called me like every day, every other day. Like it was pretty awesome. So we just talked, and I mean, we talked about everything. Like that's really what you can, that's all you can do when you have like a long distance relationship. You just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I mean, we weren't in a relationship at that point, but we were trying to get to know each other.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
all that good stuff. So we did that until
October, yeah. Because I told her I was going to be going to Los Angeles when I came home. Me and my brother were going to go to see a UFC event. UFC 104, I believe, and and so I was super excited that I'd never been to LA ever, so that was my first trip. My brother Mark, who you guys know and seen, he was going to come with me. That was going to be like my thank you to him for being such a a good brother, and so I said, hey, well, I'm going to LA, and I'd known that she had lived in LA, out after college, so. I was just winging it. I was like, what, let me ask her. Let me say, hey, well, what if I flew you out to LA after, my brother leaves and we hang out? And she was, was surprisingly, though, she was like, okay.
Yeah, I was.
Let me see if I get my time off.
Yeah, I think I was I felt comfortable with him at first. And then on top of that, I used to live in LA. So I knew that he was not taking me anywhere that I was unfamiliar with. Exactly. I had friends there. I had people that could look after me if something were to go down. So had he probably asked me to go somewhere else, I might have been a little more reluctant. But because it's like LA, I'm like, yeah, I come out there, hang out with you, and see my friends at the same time. Sure. Yeah. After LA, we flew back to Indianapolis together. Because I remember we rode back on the plane together. We were in the last seat.
And that's when she first told me about her.
The last row.
That's when she told me about her old relationship, and that's when I think we really connected.
Yeah, we really connected. Like that was a really
plane ride,
like emotional trip, because I had gotten emotional, and I think I like shed some tears talking about my old relationship. So that was like really a good connection for us.
Yeah, it was.
And he was home still. Like I think he had maybe like 3 weeks left or something.
Yeah, I took some vacation time on top of my 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and so she was like. She was like, well, you can just stay here if you want.
Yeah.
So I stayed there.
He stayed in my apartment.
Which was crazy, because then it was so funny, because then she was like, I don't know, I don't want to move too fast. I understood that, so she's like, well, maybe you should just stay with your parents. Yeah. After I've been there about a week and a half.
I know, it's been like a week and a
That
half.
night, did I go back and stay with my parents? That night, she calls me.
All my business.
She calls me and was like, I miss you.
I did. I missed him. So we really got a chance to really know each other, and our families we got to meet each other's families then. So then, I think like right before he left, we went on this date. Like our very first date.
Actually, like a legitimate date. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, because we was going out to eat here and there, but it was just
spending time. It wasn't like a for
real date. So I mean, like we got dressed up and all types of stuff to go to this date, and it was so sweet. Do you want to tell me what we did?
You tell.
Okay, it was so sweet. He took me on a carriage ride downtown Indianapolis, which I'm sure people are familiar with carriage rides and how romantic it is. So did we do that first, or did we eat first? Oh, okay. So
you didn't know about it.
I didn't know about it yet. We went to dinner first. We went to this place called St. Elmo's. Yeah. He took me to dinner. So we're sitting at dinner. And it's so funny because I was talking, we were talking. All of a sudden, I'm trying to remember how it happened. At any rate, it doesn't really matter the specifics. He had set a box on the table, like a little, jewelry box on the table. I didn't notice it. I think we had just gotten our food.
Well, the waiter brought it.
The waiter brought it. The waiter brought it with the food. But it was on like a separate plate. So I had my food, he had his food, and I'm,
she's grubbing.
I'm about to grub. Like, I hadn't even noticed that the waiter had put down another plate with a box on it. So Chad was just looking at me, and I think eventually I noticed it. And I was like, what is this box? Like, for real, what is this? So I pick up the box, open it, and it was a ring. And I was like, okay.
Almost had the look of like, I hope this isn't like an engagement ring.
Yeah,
so
I was
quick.
like, for real?
I was like, look, this is just a promise ring that like, you know, I know I got to deploy again, and I just wanted you to know that I really, you know, I want to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that. I know it at this point. I absolutely know it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking October, November. We had just started talking.
I just absolutely knew it at that point that I had to be with her. So I got her this promise ring, and I had called her mom and asked her what her ring size was and everything.
Ain't that sweet? I had no clue.
Yeah, I had called her mom and said, hey, you know, I want to give her this promise ring. You know, is that okay with you? You know, and what size? And she was absolutely, yes, of course.
Like, super ecstatic. And I can't believe she didn't even tell me. Like, I went into that whole date completely I had no clue. So I'm thinking in my head, like, it is way too early for you to want to marry me. Like, how do you know this already? You know, it's only been like 3 months. So I'm like, okay, you know, I accepted the ring, but I do remember him saying, he was like, you know, I do, like, you're it. I know that you're it. And when you're ready for me to replace that, I will. And I'm just thinking, this is really happening very fast. So I accepted it, you know, and that was that. And then after we were leaving is when we were walking out, and he surprised me. It was the carriage waiting for us. So we had like a nice little carriage ride. Yeah. It was really, really sweet. It was kind of cold, but it was really sweet.
That means we got to be close. So that worked out.
I know we were really close. So that was sweet. And that was, I guess, you know, the first time he really expressed how he felt for me, and that he was like really, really ready. Like, he had expressed it before, but I didn't know that it was to that point. So fast forward, he goes back, he deploys again.
Yeah, deploy again.
And I don't think we saw each other again until next June. June of 2010 is when he invited me to go to Disney World with the family. Mark and Renee and all the kids and their neighbors. They were all going to Disney World.
Disney World, yeah.
So he invited me to go with him, and I'm like, sure, let's do it. So we go. And I kind of knew this was coming, but I kept telling myself it wasn't gonna happen, because a little bit before he asked me to go, or I think maybe we were making plans, or he was telling me about it. Like, we were communicating via G-Chat, I think, at this time. Yeah. We would be talking on G-Chat while I was at work and all that good stuff. And one day, out of the blue, he was like, we should just get married. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm just talking, basically. But he was for real. And I'm like, okay. So, I'm telling people that I'm going to Florida. Yeah, I'm going to Florida with Chad. They're like, oh, he's going to propose. I'm like, he's not going to propose. Everybody was telling me, it's like, you better be ready this time, because he's going to propose. I'm like, he's not going to do that. Get to Orlando. And
I had everything planned out, like just to try to do a proposal. Like, you gotta think, okay, I was in Afghanistan in the desert, hot, sweaty, you know, couldn't shower as much as I wanted to, and just thinking about this moment in general, just thinking about this moment. You know, and you have time to worry, you have time to, you know, everything. You have too much time. Because when you're at home, you know, you can distract yourself with doing other stuff. Well, there you can't. I mean, you just sit and look off in the desert and you think, you know. And so, by this point in time, when I first saw her, when I picked her up at the airport, she was looking good. Oh, my goodness. Woo! You know, so I was just like, I think when we got back to the hotel that day, wasn't it?
Yeah. I arrive in Orlando. He picks me up. We go to the hotel. And this whole time he had been telling me that he had a surprise for me. And I'm thinking, oh Lord, maybe this is really going to happen. So we get to the hotel. Like, we weren't even there even 15 minutes. And he opens up his bag or whatever and pulls out a box and hands it to me. And I'm like, seriously? I'm thinking to myself, okay. I open the box, and it's an engagement ring. And I don't know why I was so surprised, because I guess I knew it was coming, but I was like, no, because in my mind I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to have to answer this. I don't want to have to go through this. I just want to hang out, have a good time. I'm just not ready to answer this yet. So when I saw it, I was just like, I really don't even know how I reacted. Do you remember?
She didn't really react much at all.
I was excited because it was a beautiful ring, and I took like pictures of it. I took all kind of pictures of it. I sent pictures to my mama, I sent pictures to my best friend, and they were like, "So does this mean you said yes?" And I was like, "No, I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either." But let Chad tell it. I rejected him. I basically told him that I was not ready yet, and I did not want to sign up to be with him, and he was going to be continually deploying, because I didn't want to do that. Like, I didn't want to be in a long distance relationship for a period of time where he was going to be deploying. I was not interested. So it was just one of those things. So I was just like, I don't know. I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying yes. I just don't know right now.
Yeah.
But to him, that sounded like no.
I was so mad.
I
was hurt. I was crushed. I mean,
he was crushed. I'm not going to say he was pissed. He was probably angry too, but I think he was more hurt. And that was the first day. So the rest of the trip, like, if we had fun. We had fun. But he was in his feelings a lot. So, like, even his family noticed. They were like, what is wrong with him? I'm just like, did they know that you were going to do that?
No.
They had no clue, yeah. So he just wasn't himself. You know how Chad is always joking and happy and da-da-da. I mean, like, it was there a little bit, but you can tell that something was bothering him. And I felt so bad, because I'm like, we're supposed to be on this trip. You're supposed to be having fun with your family. And now I have ruined it because you didn't even give me a chance to enjoy the trip before you just sprung this question on me. So, yeah. that was the end of that. We said our goodbyes at the end of that trip. And he was supposed to be coming back to Indianapolis to help your parents move. Is that when you were helping your parents move?
I think so.
To help his parents move, because they moved down to Alabama. He comes to move the parents, and I don't hear from him. Like, nothing. Like, nothing. I think I called a couple times, but he wouldn't call me back. Like, nothing. When I tell y'all no communication, he cut off every single piece of communication that we had, and this was in 2010 June. And I don't even know, was that June or July? Was it before or after my birthday? It might have been right
after your birthday.
Right after my birthday, because right before the holiday.
Yeah,
it was right before July 4th. So that was it. And a month went by, another month went by, and nothing. Like, no email, no G-chat. Like, I didn't even see him signed on. Like, there was absolutely nothing. So I sent I think I had sent a Facebook message. I sent an email. I think I emailed August, September, and October. It was 3 months in a row that I sent an email, and I waited a whole month before I sent the next email. Nothing. Like, no response at all. I couldn't get in contact with his mother. I didn't have I had only had her work number in Indianapolis, so I didn't have her cell phone number. And I was just like, it was an eye-opener for me. I think that it actually took him cutting me off for me to realize what I really felt and what I was, what I had potentially, like, given up. And it was just crazy, because first I was like, why do I care so much? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the guy is cool, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, first of all, I'm not finna marry a white man. Because I had dated a couple before, but nothing ever serious. And not that I was opposed to it, but
you grow up. And
I'm just like, that's
for me, I grew up knowing I was going to marry a black woman.
Yeah.
That's just, I've always loved black women. So, but for Gabrielle, it's not what she... Nothing wrong with it. That's not what she envisioned.
Right. It's never my picture for myself. So I was just like, whatever. But it kept, I could not stop thinking about him. I would have, like, dreams about him. Like, I remember waking up a couple times, like, crying, because I could not get him. I couldn't get in contact with him. He is overseas. I didn't know if he was okay. I just, it was just a lot of feelings going on. And I'm like, why won't this man call me back? Like, I didn't say no. I just said not yet. Like, I'm not ready yet. But, you know, I mean, men deal with hurt differently than women.
You know, and for me, like, there was a little, you know, both kind of, there's like different scenarios. Like some, you know, like the area I was in, the internet wasn't as good sometimes, you know, and we did get attacked sometimes. And, you know, it was like, so a lot of times whenever you get attacked, you know, they Oscar being crazy over here, they, you know, will cut off internet and phone, and you can't, you know, you just can't call or do anything. But in the other end, you know, I didn't want to, I was in love with her, you know, I was in love with this girl, and you know, I am not the type that usually I can control my emotions pretty good, and I can just, you know, be whoever, you know, I can just be myself no matter what, and kind of put on a good face, happy face for everybody. I was crushed. It was tearing me up because I just couldn't figure out, like, what did I do wrong? Did I not do enough? Or, you know, and I just was like, well, maybe I'm just not, you know, maybe it's just not. Maybe it won't happen. And so I kind of, you know, overreacted, I'm sure, and just kind of was to myself. I didn't contact, like, my mom and dad didn't even know that we weren't talking anymore. I didn't tell anybody. I just was, you know, deployed. I didn't have to tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just me and my skateboard overseas. I mean, that's you know, and so I kind of felt, you know, well, yeah, that will be when I get home, you know.
At this point, I was angry. Like, I was mad at him. Like, how you gonna propose to me and disappear? Like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't get to do that to me. So, yeah.
Don't do me.
Don't do me. I'm so sorry. So, you know, I talked to my mom about it, and she was just like, Gabriel, you know, she just kept telling me to pray about it, and that I didn't need to be angry with him, and that I needed to, you know, you know what mothers do. They tell you the truth. They tell you how it really is. And she was just like, you need to just reach out again. If you keep thinking about him, if that's, you know, reach out again. And I'm like, no, yeah, forget him. I'm mad at Chad. No, 'cause you don't do me. You don't propose and then fall off the face of the earth. I'm so sorry. But at the same time, I was angry, but I was sad. I could not get my mind off of him. And I dated, you know, like, I still continued on dating and doing it, but it just wasn't, it was just like, why do I still keep thinking about Chad? Like, what is going on? And then it dawned on me that I really loved him. Like, I knew I did, but I was kind of fighting it. So it was just like, okay, this is not gonna work for me. So in December, I was like, I'm gonna try and call him one more time. I'm reaching out one more time, is what I said.
It's like the beginning, too.
It was like the beginning of December. And I said, if he does not respond after this, I'm done. It's about to be a new year, and I'll just, you know, go about my business. So obviously he didn't want to marry me that bad if he just fell off the face of the earth. That's what I'm thinking. So I was like, one more time. So I called, and it went straight to voicemail, which I knew it would because I figured he was overseas. So he wasn't going to get that phone call, you know, till weeks later or something. So I left a voice message, and I was like, you know what, God, if it's your will, he'll call me back.
Yeah.
If it's not your will, then I know that I can just let it go. But I wanted to tell Chad how I felt, because he was always pouring out his feelings to me. And I would say a little bit, but I would never say everything. And I guess because I really hadn't realized it yet. So I wanted to at least let him know how I felt. So I left a message and went about my business.
So it was actually, she must have left it like probably the 1st or 2nd of December, because I got home around the exact same time, but, you know, phone was dead. So it just, you know, you get settled back in. It wasn't really a necessity for me. When I first get home, I like to take a day or two to unwind, and I don't want to talk to anybody. So I finally turned my phone, got charged, turned it on, checked I had one voicemail. It was from Gabrielle. So yes, I still had her name programmed in the phone. Actually, and I still had her number memorized. I memorized her number from the get-go when she first told me. I mean, it was easy, so, but either way. So I listened to the message, and I had been thinking about her a lot because I was coming home. I mean, I thought about her the whole time. I did. I didn't know how to, I guess, re-enter, you know, like into what we had, you know, what we were building. I guess I was scared, or just, you know, that I maybe messed it up by not talking to her. But so this was my opening. I said, well, you know, this is it. I guess, you know, I got to. So I called her, and that was just like an amazing conversation.
It was. I was completely shocked when the phone rang and it was him. Like, I actually, like, I had no clue what he was going to say.
Yeah.
And we had a really good conversation. He told me that he had just gotten the message. You know, he had just happened to have gotten back in town.
Yeah.
And I told him I loved him.
She did. That was so amazing.
And that's the first time I told him I loved him, and he was very happy to hear that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, baby Jesus, full-grown Jesus. So then I took the opportunity to invite her to Vegas for New Year's. So that was what?
Yeah.
That was for New Year's.
So that was December 2010.
Yeah, so that was for New Year's.
Yeah. So we talked up until then. I was like, yeah, sure, you know, and everybody's like, oh, he's back. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with him and the family, Mark and Renee.
So she knew everybody.
Yeah,
so.
And I think one of his friends one of his coworkers, buddy of him.
She didn't know him.
Yeah.
And she didn't know Dion, my oldest brother.
Oh yeah, that was the first time I met Dion, his older brother, and his wife Angela.
Yeah, exactly.
They went.
So we went.
Yeah.
Had an amazing time.
We had a blast.
And I wanted to marry her still at this point in time. I still knew that I loved her and I wanted to be with her, but I didn't ask her. I told myself I would not ask her because I didn't want to put her in a position like that again. Because I understood how I put her in a position. I did. Just my ego, wouldn't let me accept that right away.
Yeah.
And so I didn't. I didn't ask her. We just had fun, just hung out.
Yeah,
just had so much fun.
I kind of just started talking about just, future. Like, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And he was telling me that he had accepted a job in the States, so he was no longer deploying.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to wait to tell her that.
That was like music to my ears because that was my major hang up. Like,
yeah,
he's going to be here now, so we could possibly make something work. And,
she started crying on the and she didn't. Don't get me wrong, she doesn't cry all the time. That's not she's a crybaby.
Like a crybaby.
And she started crying on the bus. And I knew it was a good cry though. Like I just knew it was a good cry.
Yeah.
I knew that it meant that we had a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like what's wrong? And I was just like, I don't. Like at this point, I think that was our last day or the day before our last day, something like that. And I was just like, I don't want to leave. Like, I don't want to leave you. Like, it was ridiculous. I mean, not ridiculous, but it was crazy because the tears shocked me. I'm like, why am I crying? Like, I don't want to. I've been trying to get in contact with this man for 6 months now. He's okay. He's here. He's in the States. He still loves me. And I guess I was just overwhelmed, and I was like, "Oh my God, when am I going to see you again after this trip?" And I didn't want to leave. So we had dinner that night, awesome dinner,
most amazing dinner I've ever.
It was so awesome,
and not because of the food. It's just because
it was just our conversation and everything. It was like we just reconnected.
It's like we reconnected, and I think that's when.
That pretty much sealed the deal for me.
I think that's when, sealed the deal for her.
It did. I left Vegas thinking to myself, that's my husband. Like, I'm like, okay, this is going to be my husband.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I didn't say any of that to him. So I went back and, we continued to talk and everything. And, in my mind, I was just like, Lord, I think this is him. Is this him? I was just, I went into prayer. I talked to my mother and I was talking to my best friend about it and everything. And I'm just like, God, I really think you're telling me he's the one. And you know what? And I really believe that he did. And I was just like, I've been fighting it all this time. And he's been here right in front of me. And, it was just kind of like, I was like, well, he's still here. Don't let him get away this time. So I'd say maybe mid-January. Maybe mid-January. And he invited me to come down and hang out. We hadn't seen each other in, a few weeks, so I was eager to see him.
Yeah.
So I think before that trip, maybe like a week or so before that trip, we were on the phone, and I called him, and I was just like, I was ready. I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to tell this man that I am ready to be his wife, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we were on Skype, weren't we?
We were, we Skyped. I mean, because at that point, we were Skyping every night.
Yeah,
we Skyped every night. And
she called and then said, hey, we'll get on Skype.
Yeah.
And
so I got on Skype. and we're just talking and and I really don't remember.
I said I remember.
Oh, you did.
And I was like, so when are you gonna quit tripping and just marry me already?
Okay, wait, because he had been saying that like frequently. So I knew it was gonna come at some point because every time we talk, he would just throw it out there like, well, if you just be my wife or if you just marry me.
Because she kept saying when she hated being so far apart.
Yeah. So I knew it was coming. So I was like, okay, I made up in my mind. I'm gonna tell him tonight when we talk because I knew he was gonna say it. So he said it, and what did I say?
She's like, okay, let's do it. Mm-hmm. I was
and he was
blown.
He was like, for real?
I was like, for real? I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't think you believed me.
I did. I was like, what?
I wish I recorded that.
Oh, I was so...
That would have been hilarious.
I don't even know how to explain that moment. Like, it was, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So, yeah. From that point, when we saw each other a week or two later, he had a new ring. And a better ring, which is the ring that I have now, my engagement ring. And
I had to upgrade.
We were in the hotel. Again. And again, he just
handed me a box.
I mean, I knew it was coming at this point because I had already said yes, but he was just like, I was gonna wait till we went to dinner or something. But
I wanted to do something. I just wanted to do something. But I just like. God, you know how long I've wanted to put this ring on her finger. You know what I'm saying? Like in the famous words of Beyonce, put a ring on it.
Yeah.
I wanted to put this, the ring on her finger and know that she was gonna be my wife. I mean, I screwed it up. I didn't even get on a knee. I wasn't thinking. Like the minute that I was so unbelievably nervous, which was crazy because I mean I knew that she said yes already, but I was still nervous. I mean, this was, the woman of my dreams times 100 infinity. I mean, so when this moment was actually there, when I was like, oh my God, like this is real. Like that meant more than anything else ever. So I was just like, okay, get on your knee. I was walking myself through it in the head, but my head just wasn't, none of my knees wasn't working. I just kind of looked like a fool.
But it was so sweet though. It was sweet. I always tease him because I said I didn't really have a formal proposal. I mean, no, because he just handed me the box each time. Like at dinner, at Disney World, and in Alabama, he just handed me the box.
Yeah.
It's what it is. You don't always have to have the proposal, and sometimes you have this elaborate proposal and your marriage ain't worth nothing. So I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But that is our story. I know it is completely long, and if you made it this far,
thank you.
Thank you for watching.
But it's just for real though. You can no matter what your story is, no matter what you think that the obstacles are in your way, it can happen. We proved that you can be long distance. We proved that you don't have to live together.
You don't.
We proved that you can truly, work on your communication and build that love before you ever even meet face to face, and that's what we did. And that's why we're so strong now. And that's why
I think we had that period where it was nothing but communication for us. Like that's all we relied on was our communication. And I mean, it's been the best thing for our relationship. I'm married. Oh, my hand.
I'm sure I'll lift that.
I know, right? So thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.